Beautiful people, welcome to another workshop. For a second, I was thinking, like, what am I doing here? This is the Jupiter in Gemini workshop, and this is a really good example of how you could feel a little bit scattered and kind of everywhere, confused. One of the cards that I pulled was the Seven of Cups, which is also talking about just like scatteredness and like trying to figure out what to do and what to say and how to do it because we have a lot of mental activation happening for the next year or so. Um, Now, I want to, first of all, before we just jump in, I want to say thank you for joining. If this is your first workshop, welcome. If you are one of the many thousands of people who join this monthly, thank you. This is a big energy. Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. So when Jupiter goes somewhere, um, it's a big deal because it expands and it adds a lot of energy to that space. I also just want to apologize for not having an ASL interpreter here for this workshop. We couldn't book one. We couldn't find one. We're trying to add more interpreters to our list. So if you are a certified skilled interpreter who is interested in working with us, then please, on my website, you can find like the contact us page, and you can let us know that you're looking for work, and we will connect with you and see if it's a good fit. But for this, I needed to SimCom, and I made sure that we added captions. So I'm sorry, this is as accessible as I could make it for this workshop, and I really apologize. Um, Now, the few really important things that I want to talk about is that we are now leaving Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so that has been the theme that we've been working with for the past while. I believe the past year or so. Jupiter in Taurus has showed us a lot of structures and foundations that were not working, and how we need to establish new foundations, new habits, new behaviors, new belief systems, because maybe we've been stuck for too long. Now, it doesn't mean that through the last year that I mean, maybe some of you, I'm sure, have made big changes for sure. You've already started establishing the foundations, the structures, the routines, etc. But I want to really emphasize when Jupiter is in a sign like Taurus, there's a lot of focus on our old structures, habits, behaviors, beliefs, foundations that maybe now we're feeling like this is like so outdated. Like I need to change these things because I've been just stuck in these ways for far too long. And Jupiter was trying to show us that. It was showing you, like, really emphasizing, do you see how stuck on these same addictions, habits, beliefs, maybe these same community connections or whatever? Like, do you notice now that you're still stuck there? Okay, well, beautiful, because recognition is the first step. That means that you can take your power back and you can actually shift something now because you recognize that you have a contribution to this relationship, to this system or this setting or whatever. So if you recognize that you have a decision and you've been deciding to invest into this old structure or foundation or whatever, now you can recognize that you don't want to invest anymore, and you can take that investment and put it into something else. So this is an opportunity for you to really now, with Jupiter moving into Gemini, make those changes. And I say that because Gemini is a very flexible, mutable sign. This is an opportunity for all of us to really just get a little bit more comfortable with changing our minds, with saying no after maybe we already said yes. And it's like, you know what? I'm noticing that this is not really aligned with me. So I'm going to have to bow out and I'm going to pivot. This is an amazing time and opportunity for all of us to pivot. And that's what Jupiter in Gemini is going to help you do, to actually pivot. What's really interesting, again, about this energy, sorry, there's a lot of different information coming through. So we can feel a little bit overwhelmed. we can feel a little bit too mentally activated. And this is really important for you to keep in mind, because if you have strong fire, water, or earth energies in your birth chart, then maybe you're not used to this level of mental activation. And I say that because when Jupiter moves into Gemini, we will have an air trine, which means that there's 3 air signs with a lot of activation happening. So we have Jupiter in Gemini, we will have the South Node in Libra, and we will have Pluto. Right now, he's retrograde. He will move direct again, but right now, I'm filming this at the start of the Jupiter in Gemini transit. So Jupiter will enter Gemini on May 25th. And on May 25th, we have Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. So Pluto in Aquarius, retrograde right now, which when things are retrograde, and I have a retrograde guide that you can download from my website. When things are in retrograde, it really takes all of that energy, that external world, that external, evaluation, and we shift all of that energy internally, and we start using all of that energy internally to really review and reflect and figure out what's the next best step for us, etc. So first of all, when all of those energies turn inward, it's me, it can feel a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot to review. There's a lot to think about. When we're thinking about Pluto in Aquarius, especially when he's retrograde, this is an opportunity for all of us to think about where our minds are too stuck on old things. So maybe it's old belief systems. It can be old fears, anxieties, stories that we tell ourselves. It can be connected to addictions, habits, because Aquarius is a fixed air energy. So when we have Pluto, who represents death and rebirth and deep transformation in a sign like Aquarius, this is an opportunity for us to really release and transform all of our belief systems that we've been holding on to for a long time. And maybe that's, low self-worth. Maybe it's your family. You grew up in a family and they have strong belief systems about either money or scarcity or religion or what you should be doing with your life or whatever. And they kind of gave that to you. Or maybe it's just from society as a whole and they gave you these belief systems. And now you're like, I've been operating with these belief systems for so long. It's like, I'm not doing this anymore. So Pluto in Aquarius is helping us release that and to be reborn in a new way with new ideas, new concepts, new beliefs, etc. So that's happening. That can feel itself alone a little bit overwhelming because it's a lot to unpack. And then second to that, we have the South Node in Libra. I have another workshop for that, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but this is about releasing old, outdated ways of showing up in relationships, people pleasing, etc. Watering yourself down to make yourself smaller so other people are comfortable and can take up more space, even when it's like, I should be taking up my space here, but you're overpowering me. So yeah, that whole idea is okay, we need to show up in relationships differently, and I need to stop behaving like that because I'm contributing to this relationship. So I need to establish better boundaries. So that also, especially because the South Node is in Libra for the whole year, that's also a lot to unpack and to recognize and to forgive ourselves for and to shift. Establishing boundaries is difficult. So that's happening at the same time as Pluto in Aquarius. So we have the mental reset, we have the relationship reset, and then now we have Jupiter moving into Gemini. And this is an opportunity for all of that air energy to also expand. So a trine is when there's 3 activations happening in this triangle format. And that really, it feeds into each other. So when Jupiter moves into Gemini, it will influence Pluto in Aquarius, which means all of that mental reprogramming will be expanded. When Jupiter goes into Gemini, it will influence the South Node in Libra, which means all of that relationship review and renewal and releasing and everything that we don't want to be doing and us needing to really show up in our relationships differently, all of that will be expanded. So there's a lot of expansion. And with all three air signs heavily activated, well, air is connected to the mind, to our communication, to information and information sharing. So like, this is an opportunity where a lot of people could be feeling very overwhelmed, especially, like I said before, if you have a lot of fire or earth or water in your chart and you're not used to so much mental activity. Like, I'm a Gemini and a Libra rising. So like, my mind being on all the time is normal for me. So I will, and all of you air signs will definitely recognize that this gets like amplified for sure, but we kind of know what to do anyways. It's like normal for us. We're like other signs, like if you're a Taurus, you might be like, whoa, why is my mind like so activated? Like, this is crazy. Or if you're, I also think if you're like a mutable sign, maybe it'll be a little bit easier. So what is that? Sagittarius, Virgo, who am I missing? Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, and Gemini. The four mutable signs, maybe you'll have a little bit of an easier time, but because the four mutable signs are all mutable, when one mutable sign, like Gemini, has a heavy influence like Jupiter moving into him, it's like one mutable sign gets very activated, all of the mutable signs get very activated. So it's all connected, So if you're noticing that you feel a little bit overwhelmed, highly activated, this is going to be a really good time for you to focus on grounding yourself, breath work, anything you can do to disconnect from the internet or social media, like stop scrolling, put your phone down. Like, you need to sort of get back to basics is what I'm hearing. And that's a really good idea. It's like back to, coloring, reading, walking in nature, like everything that we would do as humans, 100 years ago when we were in like a more sort of natural state, I want to call it. Not to say that now we're living like unnaturally, but this, like, we're not supposed to be like receiving this much information all day, every day. Like, we don't know what to do with it. Like, it's crazy. And a lot of us, I don't know why this is coming through, but I'm going to send it out there. A lot of us carry a lot of like vicarious trauma in our bodies, in our energy fields, because we're scrolling, we're seeing like absolutely terrible, disgusting things happening to people in war, in like just all of this like shit that's happening worldwide. And like we're seeing it. And when we see it, we're almost experiencing it ourselves by watching it, and we're in shock. And then we don't stand up and like shake it off. And when like a duck, for example, like, it hits itself, or a dog, for example, you'll see a dog like trip and like bump into something, and then it like shakes. Like, it has a natural response to like shake, and that's to literally like shake it out of the nervous system. Okay, thank you. Now it's all coming together. Shake it out of the nervous system. And we don't really have an opportunity. Well, we have the opportunity. We can do whatever we want, We have free will, but we don't really take the opportunity to watch something like that, feel the shock, and then stand up and like shake it out of the body, or like, like breathe it out of the body. So maybe we need to start doing that, because we can't receive all of this information, receive all this trauma, and then hold it and carry it. And I'm not trying to compare like us watching awful things happening, oh, I'm so traumatized, and like I'm undervaluing their actual experience of the trauma. So like, don't even try to send me fucking messaging like, you said that this is traumatic. That's really traumatic. It's like, I get it. But like, my point is, you're still sitting there absorbing all that energy and you're not doing anything to shake it off and remove it. Like, bitch, that's like not smart, you know? Like, we need to stand up and shake that off. So part of the issue, and this is why I said thank you before, because it's now all connected and making sense, is that we need to figure out how to re-regulate our nervous system, because Gemini is connected to the nervous system. Now, I have an 8 of Wands here and a 7 of Cups here. This is a lot of energy. This is a lot of communication flying at us. This is a lot of phone calls, text messages, information sharing. This is misinformation. This is a lot of conversations. This is a lot of ideas. Gemini is connected to everything I just talked about. When we add the element of Jupiter to that mix, it amplifies everything. So we become more inspired, more curious. There's more ideas, yes, but we can easily feel overwhelmed. And when we feel overwhelmed, what happens? Our nervous system goes into a state of like fight or flight. So we really need, here's the other thing to balance it out, 8 of Coins, we really need a good daily practice. I also have the Emperor here. This is very solid energy. This is not strong and stable. This is a little bit chaotic. It's like, ooh, like, okay, so this is a little bit chaotic, but to balance it, this is more stable. Okay, so this Emperor energy, this 8 of Coins energy is about us taking our power back and saying, no, I'm going to get off of my phone. I'm not going to doom scroll. No, I'm not available all the fucking time for your emails, your text messages, your DMs. It's like, just because we have a phone, people think that we're always available and that we should always answer immediately. Like, fuck off. That is not natural, you know? So I think that now it's an opportunity for us to really recognize, like, I'm not doing this. It's not healthy for everyone to have that much access to me at all times. You need to disconnect and you need to focus on, again, connecting to the earth and really like clearing a lot of that external energy, because there's going to be a lot of external energy flying around. Okay. So before we jump into how Gemini and Jupiter together will be influencing us, I want to talk about both elements separately. So the first element is Gemini. Let's start with that. Gemini is connected to the 3rd house in modern day astrology, and that is connected to like community, neighbors, siblings, like merchants, light transactions. This is also connected to Mercury, which is travel, communication, our hands, how our mind activates and processes information. Mercury is also connected to Hermes, which was like the Greek god, I believe, and he was able to time travel. So this is an opportunity for all of us to really focus on the future, yes, but the past, and maybe look back at the past and try to accept something that we haven't fully accepted, or disengaging, fully letting go from the past experiences so we can actually move forward in a healthier way. Also, what's interesting is that Hermes can explore like the dark side and the light. And I think what's really interesting, we'll talk about this more later, is that like, this is a season, and I say a season because it's a time period. So with Jupiter in Gemini, this is a season for us to really understand that opposites are actually part of the same thing. So if you think about light, like actual light, like the sunrise, like when the sunrise happens, what really separates the light from the dark? Like, it's all part of the same scale, really, because we have like darkness with the absence of the light. So when the sun goes, down below the earth or whatever, however it works, when the sun goes down past the horizon and the darkness starts, like the darkness is part of that same thing. It's all connected. So, like, where do we begin to allow ourselves to understand that opposites are actually connected and you can't have one without the other? And they're really part of the same scale, so to speak. So, us, and this is actually connected to like the Hermetic principles, if you've ever read about those or whatever. But this is an opportunity for us to really have like we need to break free from any stuck thinking. And some of you maybe think like, oh, I'm already open-minded. And then maybe you'll be sitting at a dinner with someone and you're noticing everything that they're saying you disagree with, you disagree with, you disagree with, you disagree with, and you're labeling them as a closed-minded person. And you're like, you're othering them. This person is becoming like othered, like separate from you. Truthfully, we're all connected. We need everyone here, the good, the bad, the light, the dark. It's all part of the same scale. So it's like we all play a role. And this season, we have an opportunity to open our minds a little bit more. And I'm not talking about like, I'm a like liberal individual, I accept like all, like gender binaries or whatever. It's like, I think that what we need to do is back up and to understand that like real open-mindedness means accepting everyone's truth, because there are so many multiple truths happening at the same time, like the truth of fire and the truth of water. Like fire can't exist underwater, but that doesn't mean that the water is not still like true and something, it's like, and we need to really back up and understand like, okay, maybe I disagree with this person. Maybe in my mind, I'm labeling this person as like closed-minded. But when you do that, you're actually becoming more closed-minded, because you're labeling that person as like, oh, no, no, no. Like this person is so closed-minded that I 100% disagree with everything you're saying. And it's like, that type of friction may come up a lot, and I'm assuming it will as a collective come up a lot. But with that friction is where we begin to allow our stuck energy field. So like, imagine you're so stuck in this and they're so stuck in this, and the two of them come together and they rub and they rub and they rub and they rub. That's when it begins to crack. And when it cracks open and it allows other ideas to penetrate and to trade, that's when we can actually sit down and have an open conversation and try to figure out a equal solution where we both feel heard and seen. And maybe we disagree, whatever, but we can at least find some middle ground. And I think that that's what's really important about this season. Like Gemini is connected to duality, polarity. It's the twins, but the twins still work in harmony and balance. So it's like, it's really important that we don't use, especially because Jupiter is connected to philosophy and higher wisdom. So Jupiter can have a little bit of like I'm right, you're wrong. And like, you don't want to be doing that, especially when this Jupiter in Gemini is asking you to actually open your mind and to not say that you're right and they're wrong, but to instead say, what can I actually learn from this? Because yes, this is really triggering me. Yes, this is really rubbing me the wrong way, but I want to like get in there and open it up and see why they believe that. And that's when conversations can start, and you can have healthy disagreements and negotiate, and you can have conversations, and you can start to really see that maybe, even if it's just 1% of things that you agree with, maybe they have a point, and maybe if I can accept that they at least have a truth, and I can start to pick that truth apart, like I can start to evaluate it, then maybe there's some kind of learning in there that actually will benefit me moving forward. And maybe some of you will go through that process and you'll still think like, no, I completely disagree. And like, that's fine. You can disagree with whatever you want, you know, like do you. But like, there's this overall energy of like, we need to really recognize when we are too, no. Like, I'm so open-minded, you're so close-minded. And that means like, you're over there. And it's like, no, like Mercury, which is connected to Gemini, rules communication. So this season is actually about using communication to open our minds and to see the other perspective, because there's something we can learn there. Maybe we still disagree and it's fine, but there's something to learn there, or to at least learn about ourselves through that process, right? So I really think that this is like, I really think this is a little bit of an interesting mix in this energy, and I'm kind of excited to see how it comes up. I can already see it showing up in the collective energies. But yeah, like options, you know, options, curiosity, asking new questions, travel, new cultures, new communities, new networks, like all of that comes from you having an open mind and not showing up thinking you know everything. And a low vibrational Gemini, can sometimes think that they know everything because, you know, they read a little bit about everything, but they don't have the full depth and knowledge of that topic. So you want to be careful when you're either having conversations with other people, or you're noticing other people kind of just like talking out their ass. They're just like saying this, saying that, saying this, saying that, and they're acting like they know everything, but really you're like, I can feel that you're kind of just scratching the surface there. Like, I don't think that you really are like the expert that you say you are, you know? So be careful with that, because there's going to be a lot of like fake news, false information flying around. And it's really important that you know how to trust yourself with whatever's being presented to you, because you're like, is this truth, or is this being manipulated in some way? Is this just a straight up lie? Is this not fully researched? Like, this is a good time for you to really practice, you know, that muscle of recognizing like, how does this feel in my body? And you can always connect with the body, because like the body can't lie. Like the mind can trick us, but the feeling in our body, like, do I feel expansive and curious and positive and growth? Okay, that's probably something that feels aligned. And maybe it's still quote unquote the wrong decision, but you're meant to learn something from that. That's why it feels expansive in your body, because on a soul level, you are meant to go through that experience, whether it's quote unquote good or bad. But keep in mind, remember, good and bad are also two opposites of the same thing, the same spectrum, like the light and the dark, whatever. It's like how do you receive that information, that invitation, and feel it in your body? And if you feel tense and closed off and then it's probably a no. And you'll actually feel it in your energy field. You'll feel a bit of a contraction. That's a no. I don't want to be involved. Or you'll feel curious and excited and a little bit of an expansion. So that's a good thing. So just keep that in mind for this season, because, and again, I say season, but it's like, I think this is a 12-month cycle. Let me actually, how long is Jupiter in one sign for? Jupiter takes 12 years to come back to the sign it was in. So yeah, so it's there for a year. Okay, so Jupiter won't be in Gemini for another 12 years, but Jupiter will be in Gemini for 1 year, and we're going to experience him in Gemini for 1 year, okay? Which is actually really exciting, because that means that, especially if you have Gemini as your your sun, moon, or rising sign, then like this is a really, really beneficial time for you, because this is an opportunity for you to expand in all ways, like work, community, abundance. This is good luck. Like Jupiter brings good luck, good fortune. What else do I have here? knowledge, understanding, philosophy, wisdom, like it wants you to expand in all ways. So this is a really good opportunity for really for all of us, of course, because we can all use this Gemini energy to, like I said before, ask new questions, pivot. We're going to have a strong support for shifting things in our lives. And this is an opportunity for us to use that energy correctly. Okay. Sorry, my mom just messaged me. 1 second. Okay. Just need to send her the address of something. Amazing. So this is a really good time. We already talked about those Gemini things. We have curiosity, adaptability, social connections, communication. And then we have Jupiter, who is also a benefic planet, by the way. And benefic means that we benefit from Jupiter's energy. So this is a really helpful energy, like compared to Saturn, for example, which is a malefic. Okay, malefic meaning like challenging, like, oof, really gonna teach us. Like Jupiter wants just like flow and ease and fun. One thing that a lot of people don't really talk about much is that Jupiter is also connected to chaos. Chaos, okay? That chaos still has a natural flow to it. So if you think about going to like India, for example, and they have like an Indian market and it's just this people everywhere and it's just like for us, like I'm just a white guy from Canada. Like if I were to be there, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is chaos. This is crazy. But like it's normal for them. They have a natural flow and everything has a space. So even if we are experiencing something that we think looks chaotic, understand that that chaos is one side of that entire spectrum. Chaos on one side and calm and order on the other side. So like even within the chaos, there is order. And this is an opportunity for us to trust that maybe we don't always see the order or the strategy or the timeline, but we can trust that there's a higher power, a higher knowing that is actually supporting that chaotic moment, that chaotic experience, and they are organizing where things go, how they fit. Like, don't stress about that. We've got you. We're taking care of you. But what happens? Our logical mind, our human brain wants to take control of everything and try to figure out what's next and how it's going to happen and where it's going to come from. And that will also be amplified with Jupiter in Gemini, that we're going to want to overthink, obsess about a lot of things. We're going to want to ask 1,000 questions like, when is it happening? When is it happening? When is it happening? And where and where? And it's like, don't. We need to back up. We need to ground. We need to chill. And we need to just trust that this chaos still has a higher order and that they are taking care of all of the changes that are happening in our lives. Keep in mind, Gemini is connected to mutability, adaptability, shifting. So when Jupiter enters Gemini, there's going to be a lot of shifting, a lot of pivoting, a lot of flexibility and needing to shift and change our plans and change our strategies. So go with it. Why? Because that is a strong universal energy that is here to support you and help you make better changes that will actually lead you to the path of least resistance and most benefit. Remember, everything that is happening now is leading you to more possible expansion, abundance, flow, opportunities, because Jupiter supports you and Jupiter rules opportunity, expansion, flow, abundance, etc. So this is a really good time for us to just trust that whatever is coming up in our lives and how things are shifting, it's actually leading us down a road of the best expansion for us. I need a glass of water. Give me 1 second. I need water. Okay. Some of the negative energies, the negative expressions of Gemini that could be coming up, of course, is sort of like shallowness, like judgmental sort of energy. So don't get involved in that. Gossiping, fakeness, lying, being like two-faced, like telling you one thing, oh yeah, I'm fine, and then going like talking behind your back. So like just be careful with that. You might notice that other people, you're really catching them do it, and it's making you see their sort of like true colors and just like, ew, like I don't like that. I want to disengage from these kinds of communities or social groups, and you're not going to want to interact with them anymore. And that's fine because again, pivot, right? And this is an amazing opportunity for us to be connecting with new people, new networks expanding, friends, family. This is an opportunity for more creative discussion, communicating in new ways, chatting with the universe and telling them what you want, and they will bring it. It's like this is an opportunity for us to really feel, again, the excitement with new possibilities. Now, also have indecision and fickle. So Geminis can be a little bit like indecisive. Like, do I go that way? 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 Like, just pick one. Just fucking do it. Pick one. Open the door and go through it. It's not about picking the right door. It's about you opening any fucking door and going through it. Because when you go through it, you have an experience. What can you do? You can pivot, you can change, you can go back and shift how you want to show up for this next cycle. Like there is learning there. The worst thing you could do is not make a decision because you're so stuck in, do I go this way or this way, this way or this way? You don't make a decision and then you miss both opportunities for learning and you're fucked and you have to wait until the cycle comes back around and the opportunities show up again. So it's like, make sure that you just open a fucking door and go through it, okay? It's a really good time for reading, learning, taking a course, studying different cultures, traveling. This is a really good time for you to figure out how to establish the best processes for a workplace or for yourself, a new daily routine type thing. This is also a really good time for, again, reading books, podcasts, taking in, films and stuff. But make sure you have limits because you don't want to drain your energy with constantly being overstimulated. There is huge risk for overstimulation and we can feel just totally like disconnected. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Just really focus on grounding your energy. Okay. What do we have here? I think I talked about a lot of this. Recognize where others' truths rub you the wrong way. Yeah, okay. The last thing that I want to say before we do a little bit of just a meditation to help you just clear the mind. There is more than one truth. So there is the truth of the square, truth of the triangle, truth of fire, truth of water. And water maybe never understands the fire, and the fire maybe never understands the water, but it doesn't mean that one of them is a lie or one of them is wrong. So I know I already talked about this a little bit, but there's an overall energy here of like, we really need to allow ourselves to be, again, open-minded and see alternative perspectives and possibilities, because when we can be a little bit more open-minded, we allow other people to follow our lead and to also copy us and to start maybe being a little bit more open-minded. But I do also want to emphasize, and they're bringing this through, like, you can only lead the horse to water. You can't force the horse to drink it. So it's like, whatever you're doing, if you're noticing that you're trying to convince someone of something, or you're trying to pull someone in one direction, or you want other people to change for whatever reason, it's like, yeah, offer it once, offer it twice, and then pull the plug. Like, you need to just focus on yourself. That's when you need to decide to pivot. That's when you need to decide to reinvest that external energy back into yourself and use that energy to further explore who you are becoming, because we still have the North Node in Aries. We're working with this energy all year. So all through 2024, if you haven't watched that workshop, it's really, really amazing. It's helpful, super helpful. So like that North Node in Aries energy is literally asking your new identity, your new character, because like this is all just a movie and you're the main character. So it's like who you are, how you show up, how you behave and interact with the world around you is now changing. It has to change because who you are required to be for this next level can't be the same person you were up until now. So make sure that you're allowing that new identity to fully emerge. And how do you do that? Well, Jupiter in Gemini is going to expand all the possibilities for you to pivot and to adjust yourself until you find something new that feels aligned with who you are. Now, Gemini is also connected to the inner child. So make sure that curiosity, play, fun, creativity, like painting, dancing, laughing, like this is an amazing time to feed and nurture that inner child who just wants to play and explore and ask questions and discover and find, what life has to offer. It's like, remember when you were, how old and we're young and we used to look around and just be like, whoa, it's like the world is so crazy. Everything's new and exciting. And it's like there's this like wonder in our eyes and we're twinkling. It's like we need to incorporate more of that, because I also feel like with the other sort of astrological transits that are happening, like we're going to have some like high drama moments, because we still have a lot of people who need to wake up. And like, thank you for being here, because like you are literally part of like the 1% who is like doing the work and understanding that there are like other layers and energies that you can work with to actually like expand your consciousness and to level up and to find more flow. And that's beautiful, but that is rare, really. And now, it's more people are definitely coming online. Like we're all connecting and understanding that we have this power, but like I would even say, okay, let's say maximum 5% of the world, it's like you got a huge chunk of the world that is still operating in these old, outdated ways of thinking and being and doing. And it's not helpful. It's not good. It's not healthy. But I don't want to judge that. I want to say we still love you and we allow you to be you, because you have your truth. And somewhere in the balance of your truth and my truth is where all of that learning happens. And I really wouldn't be able to learn without their contribution of these old ways, or I don't even want to say old ways, because it's not necessarily old or wrong or right or good or bad. It's just their ways and our ways. Maybe sometimes they rub together, but that's how they teach us and we teach them. And it's all on that same spectrum again of good and bad, right and wrong. Like, where do we draw that line? And for everyone, it's different, right? So we need to be able this season to hold multiple truths simultaneously, because there's a lot of different things happening. And like, who's really to say you're wrong and I'm right, and I mean, I don't want to get political. Like, I know for me, I would definitely say that these things are wrong, but for someone, they're right. It's like, fuck, I don't fucking know. So whatever. Okay. We're going to do, I actually want to show you just like an easy breathing technique. So it's going to be like a really short sort of like breath work. What you're going to do is, so you're going to inhale into the belly. Sorry, normally I do like a meditation, but for whatever reason, I want to do a breath technique for you. So you can do this. I wouldn't do it if you are like on your period, or if you are pregnant, or if you have like any sort of health issues. Maybe chat with your doctor and ask them first. But this is a practice that I do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending this for anyone who feels like this is not a good idea for them. Like, you are, individual on your own, decide to do it. It's up to you. but like chat with a professional if you want to. But this is the practice that I do. So I breathe into the belly. So I breathe in 3 times. First into the belly, second into the chest, and third like a head breath, like just to like top it up. So it's okay. And then the exhale. So it's in, but we do it fast. So it's like in, out. And on that out, you want to. And what I'd like to do is to actually have some music with it. So let me see if I can. I don't know if this will work on here, but Jesus. What we would do is something. I don't know if you can hear this. Put that there. If not, the rhythm is still like in, out, 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 belly, chest, head, 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 out. And then you're gonna continue with that. Just find a good song, and you're gonna continue with that breath, that breathing technique. And at some point, about a minute or 2 minutes in, you're going to want to pull in all of the air and you're going to want to hold it. And what we do in this practice, typically, what we do is, so we do in, out, in, out. And we do that for maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And you just keep going. And sometimes you'll feel that your body like tenses a little bit or you feel a little lightheaded. Again, stop if you don't feel healthy, if you don't feel good, and ask your doctor if this is okay for you to be doing. I'm not a medical professional, but I do this. I breathe like that for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then what I do is I take a big inhale and I hold it. And then when I feel like I can't hold it anymore, I let it out and I hold it out. And then when I have to inhale again, I take 1 or 2 normal breaths, and then I start again. This kind of breathing routine will help you calm your mind. It will help clear your energy field. It will help settle any mental activation. Okay, so that's your homework. Normally I do a guided meditation, but for whatever reason, this technique is what's coming through right now. So I'm going to give that to you. If you feel safe, if you feel healthy enough to do that, and you want to try that, and you've asked your doctor, then go for it. But separate from that, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I love you. Go read through and answer the journal prompts. We have questions in your workbook. You can find it on the members area of the website. I believe it's either beside this workshop or maybe it's attached to the bottom of the workshop, but I'm going to leave you there. I love you guys so much. I will see you around. Enjoy this time. It's very fun. There's a lot of curiosity and exploration. So definitely take advantage of this energy and allow yourself to just get a little bit more playful for the next year. Okay. You deserve it. We've been coming out of some serious energies. It's been dense. So Jupiter in Gemini is a really fun, playful vibe. So I hope you enjoy yourself. I love you so much. I will see you very soon. Ciao, guys. Also, I'm in Wheelhouse in the back room. Like, isn't this cute? Cute. This is like, we're doing a sound bath and we do meditation back here. Anyways, if you're in Portugal, in Lisbon, come visit. Say hi. Bye. Bye.